Hey, how you doing today? I'm your boo, Lady T, talking all things telecommunicating, and I really want to know, how are you doing today? I'll wait. I need you to drop it in a comment down below, to the side or up above, wherever the comment box is on your device. Let me know how you really doing. Okay? I'm checking in with you as I am being accountable to check in with myself on a consistent and daily basis, because it takes work to do the work, but the work is very rewarding once it's done. And I need you to do the work, okay? Do the work with me, okay? So I'm not alone and you're not alone. But being a dispatcher is not easy, but it is doable. So we're going to have all the wonderful conversations here on the Hear Me When I Say podcast. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, funny, interesting, scary, exciting, mind-blowing. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a safe space for us to have the talk. Bring up the hard conversations that we can't bring up anywhere else. And we're going to bring it up amongst the community that can relate, that can identify with us and empathize with us and understand us from a different perspective outside of the call center without our headsets. So, how are you doing today? How was your week? How did you do this week with your self-care? And self-care does not mean you had to be selfish, okay? You can still show up for your family, your friends, and your coworkers and the community while still being intentional about showing up for yourself. Okay? Keep that in your mind. Keep it there. And I just want to see how you're doing for the new year. We're almost at the end of February, and we are almost 2 months into the new year. And I know a lot of people set goals, make New Year resolutions and things of that nature, but I just want to know, how are you holding up? How are you maintaining after the holidays? The holidays are a hard time for a lot of people. And for me, the month of February is a hard time for me. Transparency moment. February became a hard month, started in 2009, but 2020 is what really knocked it out the park for me. What I mean by that, February of 2009, I lost my first pregnancy. I was 5 months pregnant, and I had to deliver a baby that did not make it. Then here it is, February 2020, it's now 15 years later, but let's do the math. 10 years later. 11 years. Correction. 11 years later, here it is, the month of February, which I'm normally remembering or honoring my daughter's birth and death date. I am now faced with losing my mom 3 days after my daughter's birthday. Devastating. The month after that was the pandemic. Even more confusing, mind-blowing, and devastating. But the year after I lost my daughter in 2010, February of 2010, I lost my grandfather. So, needless to say, February has just not been the best month for me. And I know it's supposed to be the month of love, but that was the month of loss for me, more so than love. I've never really celebrated Valentine's Day anyway. Never really had a Valentine to celebrate or celebrate me. So I never really cared for that holiday. If you really love somebody, you show them every day of the week, of the year, of the month anyway. You don't wait for that one day to express your love for them. So I could take it or leave it for the most part. Moving forward, I am checking in with myself, because this is the time when you're, dealing with people who are not overcoming the debt that they accrued for the holidays. You're getting a lot of bad calls for people who are feeling suicidal. They are still dealing with spiritual battles and demonic thoughts in their head, and they're feeling homicidal. You got people who are still dealing with their addictions and with being intoxicated or overdosing. you still have the functioning ones who now take their anger and their suppressed emotions out on other people, and you get a lot of assault calls, domestic violence calls. And so trying to check in with myself and maintain my own mental health care and my emotional health care, getting through these anniversaries, even though it's been 14 going on 15 years that I've lost my daughter, it still doesn't get much easier. It's been 4 years now since I've lost my mom, which is really, really hard. That still hasn't gotten much easier for me. So the anxiety can creep up if you're not careful, and it can overtake you because you're getting through the holidays that you don't have these people, and then you're anticipating the anniversaries coming up. So it's like, ugh. And I intentionally don't look at a calendar. I intentionally try not to pay attention to those dates when I know I'm in that month. I just know today is Monday, today is Sunday, today is Tuesday. Let me just get through what day of the week it is. I don't care what the date is on the calendar. And that's just how I compartmentalize for right now until the grief process gets easier for me. When you get those calls that a mom is currently miscarrying and she's in the bathroom and you have to talk her through the process and stay on the phone with her, it doesn't get any easier for me. It really doesn't. Because I understand what she's going through, literally, you know. When you have to deal with a grieving family member who's calling saying they walked in and found somebody unconscious, they're not awake, not breathing, you have to give that CPR call. Taking a call where a spouse, first thing in the beginning of my shift, first thing in the morning, they're calling because they're like, I woke up and my spouse is laying next to me and they're cold and they're not breathing. My mom passed away in the morning, and I stayed with her and I slept in the bed with her until she succumbed. So I know what that's like. Granted, she was later in the morning when it happened, but it was still morning time, and I still had the whole rest of the day to figure out what. I still was like, I got the rest of my life to still figure out what. So some of these calls can be triggering. And what do you do with that trigger when it comes up? Because when you are exposed to traumatic situations, you don't know the trigger that comes with that trauma. You won't know it until it hits you, and you'll be like, wow, that's a trigger. If it's a specific song that comes on, if it's a specific smell, like if it's a favorite cologne that he used to wear, or a favorite perfume that she used to wear, a favorite body spray from Bath and Body Works and Victoria's Secret that she used to wear, and somebody walks by with it on, it will then become a trigger. And you won't know it until it hits you like, that's familiar. It's attached with a memory. Oh, wow, that memory. Oh, wow, the loss from that memory. Here it comes, you know? And it's like, what do you do with that? As I go through this journey, and I want you to journey with me because I know I'm not the only one that's dealing with trauma, but now being a dispatcher, you deal with vicarious trauma. So I'm getting, the trauma of the calls, and then I deal with the triggers. I now have to find what are the treatments that I am going to apply to my personal situation to help me manage it, to help me stay as emotionally and as mentally well as possible so that I can show up healthy for the people that are still alive and well here on this earth, living life and doing life with me. I can feel like you're bleeding, but I don't want to bleed on, the people that are still alive around me that didn't cause the trauma. They didn't cause the trigger intentionally anyway. And if they did cause the trauma intentionally, they're not your people, and you need to, separate and move them out of the way. Just sorry, not sorry. But for my sanity, my mental health, and my emotional balance, you gotta go. Life will be lifing on its own. I don't need you to add to it. I really don't. And that's just knowing yourself, learning yourself, and knowing, like where your cup is, like how full is it. And before it runs over and explodes, what you can do to help get that pressure back down so you can have the capacity to endure a little more day to day, week to week. This past week has been really hard. Not hard. This past week has been really busy for me. because I got a lot of things on my plate, with work, with school. This is my senior year in school, so I now have an internship and, anticipating graduation. And still got to deal with life, still got to do with laundry, go grocery shopping, cooking, still got to get car maintenance, still need to do my hair, all the things. And so finding balance to show up at work, finding balance to do this internship, which is more hours. I got to be away from home. Finding balance to go to class, stay attentive, have the energy, have the focus to sit and receive the information that the teacher is giving you. And then you still got to go home and sit, and you got to study, and you have to retain the information, you know what I mean? So you can regurgitate it for any of your tests that you're going to take. And then finding any other day within the week to do your cleaning for your clothes, and then for your cooking, going grocery shopping for your food. It's a lot for just one person like me to have to do. I can only imagine what it's like for you who have kids that are still alive, growing, learning, and wanting all of your time and attention. If you have a spouse or a significant other, they still want your time and attention. And working 10 to 14-hour days, that's over half of a 24-hour day. What hours do you have left for yourself? It's a very serious question, but it's a very serious reality that we face on a day-to-day basis as dispatchers. And I want you to be just as intentional about taking that time for yourself, just as I'm working on taking the time for myself. And you can't really see it. Maybe you can in the video. I don't know. But I have a little bit of a cold sore that popped up on my lip just a day ago, and it's my warning. This is my warning signal to let me know, Tiffany, your immune system is starting to get a little low, and you're doing too much. So you gotta figure it out. This is the weekend, and here it is. I'm spending 5+ hours doing my internship over the weekend because I gotta get it in somehow, some way. So I have to be intentional about figuring out where I'm going to work in a little more sleep this coming week to give my body time to heal itself. Because I don't know if you know, but that's why I think it's the CDC or whatever the important healthcare website is, because I don't know all the answers. But I know there's a place where they say you should get at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep on a regular basis. I've been getting 3 to 5, if I'm lucky, on a day-to-day basis. And so getting that rest, when you sleep, your body heals itself. Your body repairs itself as you're resting. And so I have not been resting as much as I need to. And when I am resting, I'm not necessarily in that good REM deep sleep to allow my body to restore itself from the hard day and the hard week that I'm putting on it to accomplish all these goals that I want to get done in my life. It's nobody's fault but mine, but I have to be intentional about focusing on what needs attention for today. There's no such thing as work-life balance. It'll never be fully balanced. But there is a such thing as work-life management, where it's like, how am I going to manage this? Which means today, I do laundry. But cooking, I just have to order out. Tomorrow, I can go grocery shopping and I can cook. But because laundry's already done, I know I got maybe a week to 2 weeks before I got to do laundry again. So what else am I going to put on my plate for today? I know that I don't have a test until another week from now, or 3-4 days away from now. So it's like, when am I going to study? Or I just finished taking a test, and so now I got a little more time today and tomorrow to focus on another homework assignment. Maybe I could stay an hour or two for my internship and get those hours in that I normally would be putting in for studying, or that I would normally put in for cooking. You just gotta focus on what you can do for today, and then the rest is gonna have to wait for tomorrow or maybe the week after. So it's all about managing your work and your life, but not necessarily trying to find a balance, because that's a misillusion. It's not possible within 24 hours when we work hours more than half of one day, and we still are supposed to get adequate sleep all within that 24 hour of that one day. So I'm going to do my best to not keep you long. I'm going to get off. But this was my warning sign of just letting me know, Tiffany, you're doing a lot. Your immune system is getting a little low. And COVID is still very real out here. I've been blessed to not be sick with COVID. I thank God for that, considering that we are essential workers and we still have to leave the house and expose ourselves to any and everything to show up for the community that doesn't necessarily acknowledge us or thank us for it. I thank you for being a part of my team and being a part of the crew that shows up for the community and being willing to have that heart to serve and save each life one phone call at a time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If nobody else tells you thank you, I say thank you, because there is no way I will answer all these calls by myself. There is no way that my voice is pleasant or palatable to every caller, because it's not. Not every caller likes me. Some callers appreciate me, but some don't. So your voice is the voice that is the right voice for that next call. And I thank you for not quitting. I thank you for not giving up, even though it's hard, even though the stress is there. I want to say thank you. And I want to appreciate you, because I can't do it alone. I can't do this job alone. But I can't do this life and this mental health and this self-care alone either. It takes a village, okay? It takes a community. That's why do you think alcoholics have an Alcoholics Anonymous support group? Because they can't recover from that addiction alone. Why do you think addicts have a meetings that they go to once a month, once a week? Because they can't do it alone. Why is it okay for them to provide conferences and things of that nature for first responders, for frontline workers such as doctors and nurses? Why do they allow them to have places for people who are open about their mental health disorders to go and get their mental health treatment? But dispatchers are just robots. We're not human. We don't need a support group. We don't need a community that we can come and divulge our suppressions with. Make it make sense. If there is one out there, I'm sorry, but I don't know of any. I don't. And I've had a couple of therapists, but they weren't trained for my level of trauma. There is a such thing as having a therapist. When you have a marriage therapist, a marriage counselor, you have a family counselor, a family therapist. Why do we not have a trauma therapist? Why do we not have trauma counselors? They're out there. There are a few. I just haven't found the right one for me. Because it takes a certain type of skill level. It takes a certain type of person to be able to hear the gruesomeness of our stories and not be jaded and not get vicarious trauma for them because of our stories. So while we are still showing up for our counselors and our therapists, we also need to show up for us in this peer support group, in this peer support community. And this is what this podcast is for. This is a Hear Me When I Say podcast, because I'm here to hear what you have to say. By hearing what you have to say, lets me know that I'm not crazy. Lets me know that my trauma and my triggers are very much real, but it's manageable. Life is not over for me. Life is not over for you. And we can do this. We're going to do it. We are doing it. But we can do it a lot better in numbers, because there's strength in numbers. You don't send an army to battle with just one man. You send them with multiple. Because if one falls, the other person will be there to pick them up. When you know you got somebody fighting and riding with you next to you, it makes you go that much harder, that much better. It makes you a better person. Iron sharpens iron, and I'm here to sharpen you, boo. You're not alone. You're not. And I know I'm not. But I need you to show up just like I'm showing up. So I need you to hit that like button, subscribe, drop a comment or two. Hey, me in the comments down below. And I need you to share this with other dispatchers around the world. Because I know there's other dispatchers out here that's being quiet, thinking that don't nobody want to hear what they got to say. Don't nobody understand what they're going through. Look, I just spilled a little bit of my testimony, okay? And I got so much more to share, but this is what I'm going to give you for right now, okay? I'm going to leave you here because I've been talking for quite a minute already, and I didn't expect to be on here this long. But I genuinely wanted to check in with you while I'm checking in with myself. I'm a little sleepy. I'm a little exhausted. There's still so many things I really want to get done. Homework wise, I want to clean my house. And, it's about to be spring cleaning. So it's a few things I really want to start going through and purging and getting ready to give away and all the things. Because that's a real thing too. That's about to start happening as daylight savings time is approaching us, as we're getting more daylight. Because how many of us know in the wintertime, we go to work in the dark. And when we get off, it's still dark. I need you to be intentional. Fun fact, vitamin D helps make you happy. I know it helped me. When I was grieving with my mom in February, I did not realize that I was vitamin D deficient at the same time until I started hearing everybody talking about it because of COVID. I went and got my test done, and my vitamin D level was 11. The range is from 30 to 100. So from 30 to 100 is where your vitamin D was supposed to be for me, and mine was an 11. And I was severely depressed, grieving on top of that, and then stressed on top of that. And I'm living in a state where none of my family is at, so I'm here holding it down with just friends and coworkers, but not family. And family is different from your friends and your coworkers. So when you have a lot of grief and everything you're dealing with, and you feel like you're dealing with it alone, that's all the more reason to spiral into depression, spiral into suicidal thoughts, if not actions, and spiral into no one cares, no one loves you. That means no one's going to miss you if you're gone. And I want to tell you that all of those thoughts are a lie from the devil, from the pit of hell. God made sure that he had a stranger who never spoke to me in 5 years of passing to come knock on my door and check on me almost every single day in my recovery. And I was like, we don't even talk. I know you don't rock with me. Why are you knocking on my door? And they was just like, I saw you was in a lot of pain. And that looked pretty bad. So I just wanted to make sure you're okay. No, I'm not okay. Okay, well, what do you need? And they showed up for months until I started getting better. Once I started getting better, they started tapering off, and then they were gone again. And I'm like, God, what was that about? But that was his subliminal way of letting me know that he heard my cry in my heart, and he showed up for me in the most unusual way, because that was the last person I would have ever thought to speak to me, who never even said hello to me in 5 years, to show up on my door and show up for me month after month, not day after day, not week after week, but month after month, about 4 or 5 months straight. They showed up, brought me crackers and water and juice and all the things, because that's a whole nother story. But when I really was at my lowest and I really was contemplating suicide, because I was like, ain't nobody here, ain't nobody checking for me, ain't nobody gonna miss me, that person of all people showed up. And that's when I was like, okay, God, you gotta be real, because to put me on their heart and their mind to want to do this for me, they won't even open their mouth to speak to me, let alone they'll do this for me. All right, God, what is it you want me to do? Clearly, you want me to exist on this earth a little longer, despite the pain that I am in, despite the grief I am feeling. What is it you want me to do? And here it is. I'm showing up. My company has lost a dispatcher due to domestic violence. She's coming to work, taking calls, saving other callers, sending emergency crews to them. She went home and her significant other took her life. What do you do with that? It's not okay. And it's not okay to suffer in silence, thinking because you hear everybody else's problem that you don't want to be a burden and spill your problems on somebody. But it got to go somewhere. It can't stay to yourself, because you can be gone today, tomorrow, and we need you. I need you. Seriously, not even playing. God didn't preserve me for no reason. He ain't preserve you for no reason. So come on. Comment down below. Let me know what's good. You can email me at Hear Me When I Say Podcast, and it's spelled the right way. Hear Me When I Say Podcast at gmail.com, and let me know what's good. If you don't want to comment down below and you don't want other people to read your comments. Okay? But I am very serious about how They acknowledge first responders as the people that arrive first on scene. But we are the first responders who respond first to the emergency of that person or that patient. Because the first thing they do is not let me go run to the firehouse, not let me go run to the hospital. No, let me call. Let me call 911. And then we notify our cohorts and say, hey, can you go and help them? Hey, can you get to them? And this is what's going on. So this is how to prepare. These are the resources you're going to need to take with you when you get to that scene. We're the first responders to them responding first on scene. And I want to acknowledge you, and I once again want to say thank you, because it's very serious. We don't get enough thank yous. We don't get enough closure to half of these calls. But I don't like it when you clock out of work and you get in your car and you're susceptible to the same car accident situation, just like the car accident you took the call for. You're susceptible to an electrical fire happening at your house like it did mine, and I had to call for firefighters and the medics to come to my house because it had an electrical situation. So we wear this cape that saves everybody else's lives, but it does not exempt us from needing saving as well. So just like you or us or them need saving for a car accident, for a heart attack, if you pass out or whatever, why can't you need help for your mental? Why can't you need help for your emotional? Make it make sense. So, I'm giving you the permission to check in with yourself. See really where you are. See how you're feeling. If you're okay, you're not okay, you're kind of okay, but you could be better. And then check in with me. See how I'm doing from time to time, because this month, like I said, is the month for me that I have to navigate and manage accordingly, because I know where my cup level is emotionally with these anniversaries that's going by. This is my truth. This is my transparency. And I'm being available for you too. If nobody else is going to show up for you, I'm showing up for you. And I want to know how you're doing. Seriously. And I'll wait for that response. I want to know where your cup level is. How full is it today? What capacity do you have? Some days I don't have the capacity for CPR calls. I'll be like, Lord, give me any other call but a CPR call, because I can't do it today. God, I don't want to hear a baby crying today. Not today. I could take any other call but a baby crying today. That's just not, that's where I'm at today. I can't do baby crying today. I can't hear that voice. God, let everybody know where their address is at. I can't. I don't have the capacity today, God, to deal with people who don't know where they are when it's daylight out and they're standing in front of a business. I'm in front of a Family Dollar. What's the address? I don't know. You think it's the simplest things, but it's real. You know, so I know I do my check-in on my way to work and be like, Lord, I'm good today. Whatever call you want to give me, I got the capacity for it all. But then there's other days, excuse me, where I'm like, Lord, I don't have the capacity for this today. Don't give me this type of call. Please give me any other call but this. And he hears me and he answers me and he shows up for me for that day. And at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, God, today was a day, but I didn't get that day. So I thank you for that. And he hears me. So I just want you to also try it. Don't believe me? Try it. Try it. Try God. He says it in the Bible. He says, try me. He said, give me a try. And he said, test me and see that I'm good. I'll find a scripture for you later, but it's a real scripture in there. If you got the Bible app on your phone, just put in test me and see. And it'll give you the scripture. I ain't playing. I test him. And he showed up for me more than once. So I can't doubt him. And I can't not share how good he's been to me. Because I know he could be even better than you. I ain't no better than you. I'm a whole human being just like you. And I got a whole lot of issues that I am navigating one day at a time. And I'm doing very good. I'm on my healing journey. And I want you to be on this healing journey with me. Because you don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to suffer in silence. So, hear me when I say, how are you doing today? I'm doing good too. And I'm going to be even better. one day at a time, one phone call at a time, one prayer at a time, one conversation at a time. Till next time, I'm your boo, Lady T, talking all things telecommunicating. Love you. Can't wait to hear what you got to say next.